Hi, we are now discussing the chapter 11 part 2, which contains Beck's cognitive therapy. Aaron Beck's theory, known as cognitive theory, has basic similarities to Alice's REBT theory. It has many similarities to REBT. It has an insight focused therapy that emphasizes and recognizes changing of negative thoughts and maladaptive beliefs. The goal of the theory is to change the way clients think by using their automatic thoughts to reach the core of negative thoughts and maladaptive beliefs. This is referred to as schemata generally that has been causing problems for the clients. CT is suggested and it is successful in helping disorders of depression, anxiety, related phobias, psychosomatic disorders, eating disorders, and anger, also panic disorders, substance abuse, and chronic pain and crisis intervention. Beck contends that emotional difficulties stem from faulty thinking, making incorrect inferences on the basis of incorrect or inadequate information, and also failing to distinguish between the fantasy and the reality. To distinguish between the fantasy and reality, the client will have to go and look into his own faulty thinking, and the counselor will have to help them to look at the truth of the situation. Beck has listed the common cognitive distortions as follows. Please refer to your page 27 of your notes. First one is the arbitrary inferences without supportive and relevant evidences. People have got some beliefs in whatever they are thinking, and they think that that is the only truth that is available for them to think. But these can be arbitrary, and there may not be any relevant evidence available to prove that what they are thinking is the truth and there is no other alternative. Selective abstractions, that is forming conclusions based on partial details, ignoring the total context, why something was said, how something was said, in what circumstances something was said, that has been ignored. Only that part of the conversation which is affecting them in negative way is remembered. Overgeneralization, when the belief actually is based on tragic incidents, is applied to dissimilar events or settings. If something has happened once, it does not mean it is going to repeat itself, and it may not be also applicable in the similar settings next time. Like suppose if my bag was stolen in a certain street, and now whenever I'm passing through that street, if I take it for granted that only the thieves are all around and they are watching me and they are waiting to again steal my bag, it is not going to be the correct way of thinking. That would be amounting to the overgeneralization. Then there is magnification and minimization of a case or situation. When small matters are exaggerated and they are seen in a very exaggerated manner, that the making the mountain out of the small particle would be a very wrong thing to do. While on the other end, if there is a real big problem and one ignores and tries to make small of it, tries to make little of it, then that is also an inappropriate behavior. Then there is personalization, is accepting of something that is related to themselves, whether it is applicable to themselves or not. When it is not related to themselves also, it is accepted and thought of as this person said that, and that was said because he of thought of imposing that blame or thought of imposing that reason to me. So it is something that is not really applicable to you, but because you think that it is done directed towards you, you are accepting it, which is a wrong and faulty way of thinking. Labeling and mislabeling, where the person adapts to the identity that is akin to the faults or imperfections in his or her personality. They enlarge negative aspects and keeping the positive aspects unfolded. Like they may only think of how bad they are in expressing themselves in English, but they forget about the amount of knowledge and the qualifications they have about the subject. Polarized thinking is involving thinking in all or nothing terms. That is, extremes like things can be only either white or black. There is nothing in between. I can be only an enemy or a friend. I cannot be an acquaintance with somebody. So this is the way the people get into faulty way of thinking and interpreting the situations around them and the situations to which they are exposed. According to CT, all dysfunctional emotions and behaviors have their roots in inadequate and dysfunctional thinking. That means all the problems that arise in the person's behavior is because of the faulty thinking, inaccurate information, and just because they feel that they are the targets of the people's comments and people's behavior. So then they adapt themselves to that kind of thinking, and which is going to create a problem for them. Though a collaborative efforts between counselor and counselee, and that is the clients learn to discriminate with this effort their own thoughts and perceptions and events from that actually occurring in reality. So the counselor helps the counselee to realize what the reality is or could be and how they have adapted. The counselees have adapted into negative kind of thinking, adapted that kind of attitude towards it, and that is going to cause them a lot of problem. CT's main application consists of all approaches based on alleviating the faulty thinking and replace it with ability to recognize the truth. So the main purpose of the counseling here would become pointing out or making the counselee realize where they are going wrong in their thinking, and that part of the thinking they need to correct. As per his view, dysfunctional beliefs are problematic because they interfere with normal cognitive processes, not because they are irrational. So sometimes the thinking may not be irrational, but because it is affecting the client in a negative way, that is why it becomes a problematic for them. Some ideas may not be irrational, but still can be too absolute, broad, and extreme, and may be sometimes not applicable to the situation. For example, if a student feels he is wasting too much time traveling to his college for just one or two classes, which he saves that time he feels staying at home and studying, he will benefit. Here the thinking is quite rational, provided the student is capable enough to self-study the subject. But this will also require consideration for college rules, attendance, and often other benefits that you get out of attending classes. For example, the teacher may be giving some hints and points about the exams which are approaching. So he may be a loser there. Now, clinical procedures include collaboration between counselor and counselee is of utmost importance here. Please refer to your page 30th in the notes. All the techniques may be used to help clients recognize and change their faulty thinking. These techniques may be borrowed from behavioral therapy, REBT, and other theories also. It is extremely used for depression. Refer to page 34 of your notes for detailed discussion on depression, how it is very much applicable in case of depressed clients. Now we go to the next relevant theory in cognitive behavior, and that is the Meshelbaum's cognitive behavior modification. It is acronymed CBM. This self-instructional therapy is a form of cognitive restructuring, focuses on changing the client's self-verbalizations. Now here he pays attention to verbalization also, not only to the thinking, which is emphasized in the previous theory that we saw in Beck's theory of CT. But here he is paying more attention to the client's verbalization. As per CBM premise, the prerequisites for behavior change is to train them to pay attention to how they think, feel, and behave, and consider what impact they have on others. Their own thinking, how it affects their people around them and in the family as well as their friend circle, in the maybe with the colleagues. So how that is affecting their people around them, how it affects the others. This thought shared with REBT and CT, the assumption that distressing emotions are typically the result of maladaptive thoughts, with some differences between the theories. So all the three theories are in basic core thinking is changing of the thinking process, changing of how people perceive things, and then helping the clients to overcome the problems by changing their own thinking, their own way of looking at things, their attitudes, and also their verbalization, which is given more importance in this CBM theory of Meshelbaum. The process of training the clients to modify their faulty thinking is to help them gain practical coping skill for trouble creating situations such as impulsiveness and aggressive behavior, fears like exams or public speaking. CT uses cognitive structure, which includes organized thinking and monitoring choice of thoughts. So if we just spend, as we say in anger management, we need to count up to 10 before reacting to the persons and trying to manage our own anger towards that person. This is called the cognitive structuring. Now, this implies executive procession. So, whatever that 10 seconds that we give ourselves to think and react is actually called the executive procession. For behavior change, Meshelbaum describes three-phase process with three aspects interwoven. Phase 1 includes self-observation. Here clients learn to notice their own behavior. They must have willingness to listen to their own inner voices. Slowly they start realizing how they are contributing to creating problems for themselves. Phase 2, because very often the clients are not even thinking about how they are reacting. It becomes an automatic reaction for them. and that is the reason why one needs to give some seconds of thought before reacting. Phase 2 is starting a new internal dialogue. Clients start noticing their maladaptive behavior and start seeing opportunity for changing behavior. This is result of changing internal dialogue. So one starts noticing one's own internal dialogue and then tries to bring about the change in that internal dialogue. Like one says, okay, I must do this, this is like this. But then suddenly when they are going through the therapy, they realize this is not the only way of thinking. Let me see if there is any other way of reacting to this situation. Then in that case, we are entering into the phase 2 situation, where they start having the new way of thinking, new way of talking to themselves, and that is the new internal dialogue is setting in. Phase 3 is learning new skills. Counselor helps counselee to learn more effective coping skills by adapting alternative behavior. The counselor's behavior changes. Clients are made to focus on telling themselves new matter and assess the result of this change. For reference, please see page 37 here. Michelle Baum has developed stress inoculation procedure, which is like inoculation of biological immunization. Like we take the immunization syringes and the serums and the vaccines which immunize us against the certain diseases which are maybe bacterial diseases. So those are the biological diseases which we immunize against. Michelle Baum also uses Socratic discussion, cognitive restructuring, problem solving, relaxation training, behavioral rehearsals, self-monitoring, self-instruction, self-reinforcement, and modifying environmental situations. Michelle Baum's SIT has 3 steps. The conceptual phase, that is number 1. The skills acquisition and rehearsal phase, that's number 2. And number 3 is application and follow through phase. Stress management training has potentially useful applications for a wide variety of problems and clients, both for remediation and for prevention. Some of these applications include anger management, anxiety management, assertion techniques, improving creative thinking, treating depression, and dealing with health problems. It is also applied to treat obese people, hyperactive children, social isolates, and schizophrenics. Now, quite often we have mentioned about the Socratic dialogue as one of the technique that the counselor uses. Now, what is this? What do we mean by Socratic dialogue? The name suggests the Greek philosopher and great teacher Socrates. His method of teaching included more of asking questions with an open-end answers to his students. He never gave direct answers to his students to whatever questions they asked, but he made them think by asking a question which is an open-end question, so that the student can think about it and answer as per his own understanding. This would encourage students to think for themselves and find answers rather than giving them straight answers. Socratic method of questioning makes students apply their brain, experience and knowledge to their problems. This leads them into finding solutions to their problems, which is within themselves. So the problems have been created by them, and then they also need to find the solution from within their own sources, their own repertoire of their knowledge. In case of clients, the problems are also generated by themselves, usually due to faulty thinking. Now, I would like you to put the knowledge into your own thinking and gain insight, which is definitely going to help you to become a better counselors. Bye for now, and we meet again for the next theory.